Oh hey, didn't see you there. It's me, your boy. Hopefully your new favorite domesticated cryptid, Neko Luna. Uh, Good to meet you. This is the first video I'm doing. Second round, but first video. Hopefully that will be uploaded. Uh, and I'm here to talk about nerd. I like ancient history, deities, ghosts, cryptids. Like, if it's really old or really weird, I'm about that. So, let's go ahead and start with someone who is in the little avatar that I have drawn. I guess my little logo. And that would be Bastet. She is one of three cat deities slash cryptids that I have in my avatar. I adore her very much. I like cats, if you couldn't tell. I like cats a lot. So she definitely had to be featured as a cat goddess. She's very important. So yeah, we'll go into her stats, we'll go into offerings, her cult, all that good stuff. Then a little bit of a story time. So hopefully you enjoy. Please consider to like and subscribe. Thank you. So let's get into it. So although Bastet started out as like one goddess, one that was very fierce, the lion-headed goddess, she was slowly split into two because that goddess, I guess, became increasingly more aggressive, more violent. So they decided to sort of separate those aspects. So you have Sekhmet, who is the lion-headed goddess, and then Bastet, who is the cat goddess, or the cat-headed goddess. So while she is gentler, obviously she cares for her kittens. She can be very playful. She does also have those fiercer aspects. She does protect the home. So she's the daughter and consort of Atum-Ra, and with that deity, she has a son named Mahes. Maes. Ma- I don't know how you pronounce ancient Egyptian, and I probably should because I'm a nerd, but what? We'll figure it out together. But I'm pretty sure it's Maes. Ma. Her son is cool. Her son is very cool. Uh, can, can you hear my family? So she's the slayer of Apep, who is the enemy of Ra. She has several names: the Lady of Dread, the Lady of Slaughter, in addition to the Slayer of Apep. Uh, she's like a multifaceted goddess. She's like amazing at multitasking. Like, I wish I were that good. She's like, she's pretty great. So her cult was in Bubastis, in Egypt. You can still head there today and see the remnants of her temple. Both men and women could serve her. There wasn't a particular gender favorer. There wasn't a particular gender she favored. Like, anyone could serve her. So as for offerings her priests and priestess would have given, you would have had loads of perfumes, ointments, incense, water, food, things like that. As for today, people who practice Kemeticism and worship these gods, from what I found, you got chocolate, mint leaves, honey, of course perfumes, still very big, she loves it, bells and wind chimes, loads of gemstones, water, glass of all sorts, which I do have for her there, kind of, with the sun on it, since she represents the sun. You can give her baskets, jewelry, flowers, red wine, daggers and swords, sheer fabric. She, like a lot of deities in all of the realms, a lot of deities in like the world over, they like a lot of the same things as humans do. It's kind of what I like about the older pantheons, is that while they are gods, they are powerful, they are also very human. Or there's at least a human aspect about them. So Bastet's cult was in Bubastis. Now, once a year, there was a riotous party. It was the Feast of Drunkenness, uh, and people would come from all over. No children apparently were allowed, but of course, plenty of adults would go and get wasted in the name of the goddess. Hey, she supports your strange drunken night out. Hey. But yeah, the festival was filled with loads of dancing, loads of singing, women flashing people on boats that were headed to the event to get people to come to the event. Um, you would bring, of course, offerings of your perhaps animals that have passed away, or a really weird sort of roadside stand thing would pop up. You would head to like temples and stuff to get um, like mummified cats to then give to the goddess. Um, they had like catteries, kind of, and they would, well, they were catteries, and they would kind of cull them and kill them, and then make them into mummies for offerings. It seems very strange and barbaric to us today, but for them back then, in order to get a message to the goddess, who better than a cat to send your wishes through? So, like, it's pretty bad, but that was the thinking back in the day. Although some of these mummies weren't full mummies, there were like you would get like a whole mummy, but really inside would maybe be like a leg, a tail, who, whatever bits and bobs you could find. Uh, I suppose that helps save a lot of cats, but also a lot of money killing all your cats. So really weird thing, but yeah, that's just how it was back in the day. Uh, in Bubastis, of course, like way later on. I want to say like 18, not like 18 something, 19 something. Like back when Egyptology was like it was all the rage, Egypt, Egypt fever. That time. So at some point they dug up the remains of Bubastis, the temple, and they found like thousands of cats had been interred there. Like, no joke. There was also another temple, I don't know where, but also they found loads of cats there too. So it was a very popular offering to give around that time. So Bastet often represents the sun. That's kind of her thing. Later on, with kind of the advent of Greek mythology and religion, uh, they tended to fuse Egyptian gods and Greek gods to kind of like what aspects went with what. Like this god does this, so it must be like this god. So she was represented by Artemis. So she ended up also becoming a goddess of the moon as well as the sun. Hopefully, some of that made sense. Hopefully, I didn't miss anything. If I did, let me know in the comments below. I'm not an expert. I'm just a nerd. I enjoy reading and learning about these things. So I think that's her stats, her offerings, all that done. So let's head over to story time. Okay. So I thought this was a weird tale to be told about an actual prince. Like, I'm assuming he like was cool with the story and agreed with it. I guess it was just a different time back in the day. Prince Setna, a young Prince Setna, is set way back in the day. He steals a book from a tomb, and the tomb inhabitants are like, "No, please, though, don't." And he's like, "So anyway." So he's in Memphis. Like afterward, he's near the Temple of Ta Ta Pa Ta Ta. He's near that temple, and he sees like the most gorgeous woman he's ever seen. Like she was bam and slamming, bootylicious, like super mega foxy, awesome hot. Like he couldn't handle it. It was too much. It was entirely too much. So he asks about her. He asks around. I'm sorry if you can hear my family. I don't happen to have the luxury of living alone. So he's asking around, trying to figure out who who this lovely lady is, and he finds out that her name is Tabobu, and she's the daughter of a priest of Bastet. So again, he's obsessed. Like she's just too much. He can't handle it. So he sends her a note, and he's like, "Hey, uh." So he's like, "Hey." He sends a note, and he's like, "Hey, here's like 10 gold pieces. Do you want to do it? It would be sick." Uh, but she actually returns a counter offer, which I would have just been like, creepo, like no. But she was like, nah, counter offer. Let's meet at the Temple of Bastet in Saqqara, and you know, where I am, and you will have all you desire. So he's like, yeah, he's like, so hell yeah, yes. So he travels to her villa, where she lives, and he's like, he's about it. He's DTF. He's ready. He's let's go. And of course, that luckily, Tabobu has some stipulations. This is not hating on people who just are down to get to it. That's fine. Do you. No shaming here. But anyways, she has some stipulations that she would like to put forward. First, she's like, okay, you have to sign over all of your property and possessions to me. And he's like super lusty and stuff, and he's like, oh yeah, totally. Which what? But okay. So he goes to try to like hug her, and she's like, also, you're you need to send for your kids and then have them sign these papers, so then nobody will try to challenge me about all of your money and your property. That will be mine. So he sends for his children because it's that real. It's that he's that about it. Which what the hell. But yeah. So uh, while everybody's signing the papers, which is so strange because like wouldn't there be like a ladder match and like the custody papers are at the top of the ladder and you gotta fight for it? I don't know how legal things work, but I feel like that was a thing in the 90s. Anyway, they didn't have a ladder match. They all were like, yeah, sure, Dad's insane. Let's do it. Why not? Let's just sign over all this stuff, right? So while they're signing the papers, Tabobu she goes into another room and then comes out wearing a linen dress that just shows off everything. It shows how everything, all the things, like even maybe the little bit of gross bits. Like she is all on display. And of course he's like, we need to right now. He's like that one Vine where it's like you have the right to remain sexy. You can look it up, but he's like that Vine. Like he radiates this energy, and he like can't even handle it. So like he's like, yeah, let's go for it. The documents are signed, and she's like, here's the third demand though. Chill out here. Let me tell you the last thing. Uh, you need to have your children killed, so then they won't try to go back on this agreement, and there won't be any like there won't be any ladder matches. Like they can't challenge her because they're gonna be dead. What are they gonna do? You can't ladder match if you're fucking dead. So Setna instantly agrees to this, just like the dad in Kuon, kind of. And yeah, he has him killed and thrown into the street, because all that time wasted. Who cares? That's fine. I'll just make. We'll just make a new one. We'll just make a bunch of new ones. It's whatever. So then Setna he's just like, no clothes, let's go. And he takes Tabobu, they go to the bedroom. Of course they're embracing, and then she like screams, and then she's just gone. She just poofs. Like in a bad horror game, she just poofs. And like also the whole room, the villa, like everything disappears, and Setna's standing there with his we're gonna go with a word that the Star Trek Deep Space Nine fandom made up. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Fruut. I know there are in another language that probably means fart, but in made up Cardassian, not Kardashian, Cardassian. Okay, so Fruut means a particular part of the bottom part of your body. But he had his Fruut stuck into a clay pot. There was no lady. Only only humiliation. So, the Pharaoh, he happens to be coming on by. And of course, Prince Edna's like, yeah, well, I'm real fucking dumb. Holy. Uh, yeah, no, it's good. So the Pharaoh informs him, he's like, hey man, none of that actually happened. Like, everything's cool. Children are cool. You don't worry about any ladder matches. Like, it's just all been an illusion. Uh, so Sedna then he immediately just understands. He's like, oh, that I was punished because I stole that friggin' book from the tomb because I was being. So obviously he goes back. He returns the book. He actually is a cool guy about it. He returns the book, and then he also, to be an even cooler guy, uh, he goes to another city, retrieves mummies that were buried there, who were part of that tomb where the book was, who belonged to the family, and so they can all rest in one place. Apparently, this story, like, I guess scholars talking about it, they're like, no, like, it's probably about Bastet. So this is like, I guess kind of the way Tabobu kind of lures him in. It's kind of like a cat and mouse game. So it's definitely meant to represent Bastet, and so how you can get in trouble if you only view women as sexual objects. Bastet will come for you. Watch yourself. Thank you for watching. If you want more bad makeup looks related to whatever I'm talking about, some makeup on my collar, uh, there's more coming up very soon. I'm hoping next to talk about the Maneki Neko and the Ketsi. So hopefully, if that sounds like something you're interested in, please do subscribe. Uh, if you have any suggestions for anybody you want to hear about, any deity, any creature, any ancient person or event, please leave that in the comments below. Hopefully you liked what you saw here. Hopefully it was at least a little bit entertaining and distracting. Hopefully. So yeah, hope you have a good day, night. Hope you're comfortable living on whatever plane of existence you live on. Just remember to take care of each other and take care of yourselves. Later.